So I think we are. Let me save this one moment. Let me do some arrangement of. Let's see. This is not episode 9. This is episode 10. Can't believe it. Okay. All right. So that's that. Is there anything else we wanted to? Okay. So for our classic intro, let me save this. Hello, 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 stellar people. Once again, this is Trey Hodges with Artcast number 10 that we are continuing with the Wolverine illustration process thing that I'm doing right now. This is the part 1 where I talk about what's going to happen in this episode. So in this episode, we're going to go over some. We're going to try to keep talking short, keep the art going, and get the art going strong. So again, this is part 3 of this Wolverine thing, where I'm trying to make an illustration, something that I would feel proud of if the younger me saw the older me doing this thing that he enjoyed, which is Wolverine, the character from the X-Men, who I am quite the fan of the X-Men. X-Men are, to me, the best superhero team. That's just my opinion. I like the mutants and all that, but the X-Men just have that perfect synergy of weirdness that I really like. I really like it. I started when I was a teenager, and then I stopped. Maybe when I was around 18, starting college. I came late to college because I was being a goofball. And then I was reading manga for a little bit there. I had lost the magic, I think, for comics, because it seemed like it didn't change, right? I think that's my one big gripe about comic books, is that it is an ongoing saga where nothing really changes. Peter Parker will always be a man who is from 16 to about maybe 32, and they don't let him evolve past that. He'll always reset to this baseline. And I think all comics are like that. Batman, right? He can have a new Robin, but he will always be Batman. Anyways. So I like the X-Men comic books. I want to do Wolverine for the game that is coming up. And so when I had the opportunity, I was like, you know what? Let's try to do an ode to my past and make a Wolverine illustration. And so here we are. If you want to look at that past episodes where I go more into depth about the influences and all that. But today we're going to go right into it because we got a lot to do. So before, I think last week or so, we did some gestures. Right, if I can find that. Let's take off. So we're getting into it. We're getting busy. So these are some of the, I guess here are some of the older, it's all in this, isn't it? Yep, something like that. So I have been reading comic books my whole life. There we go. Well, not my whole life, since my teenage years. First comic, the ones that just kept me going, right? I thought this cover was awesome. And so I just kept reading after these two. I did some drawings in college of Wolverine, some with the samurai, some classic. And that is pretty much how I started. There's a game coming up, Wolverine. It looks pretty on point for the character. I like this drawing here. And I thought, you know what, let's take a swing at it. And so that is what we're going to be doing. So I always start with gestures, right? I'll do a little writing on the side to break down what the character is, who the character is, anything that I can think of just to get my juices flowing. And then I start to do these little gestures. I can fill up a whole page, I can fill up a couple pages, but usually the first ones are just off the top of my mind, and then they just get more and more in depth as I think of more things to note about the character. So I have all these little gestures, right? And some don't make the cut, right? The ones that I really like, I mark with a little circle on the side to note that they are of interest, and the rest usually gets discarded or some such. But I wanted to do something else, right? I thought I was getting too tight, too, right? It wasn't quite going the way I thought of in my mind. I thought, you know what? Let's try some more gestures, and let's try to keep loose with it, right? Not get too comic accurate, or just let it flow. Sometimes, you know, you get too tight with what you're trying to accomplish. Sometimes you get into your own mind. And so I did these new gestures, and of them, let's see, I liked this one. So I'd mark it with a circle. This one, and I thought, okay, I like this one too, but I'm probably not going to do this one. So you want something as an illustration that is what I call sexy, right? You have to have a sexy image to stop somebody. If it's a cover image, I think there has to be a little bit of spice, a little bit of sauce, if you will. Something sexy that makes somebody stop and look at it. And some of them don't quite hit. All right, so I'm thinking action poses are great, but it has to be the right action pose, right? Sometimes it just doesn't do it. So I'm thinking this one especially, and this one. So we're going to do, I think I'm going to show you what my breakdown is for doing such as this. So I have this file. I make new folders, and in this folder, so that gestures, I isolate the one I want, and I want this one right here. And so I isolate it, and I get rid of everything. Right? So then I just isolate that one, and then I duplicate it and enlarge it to look like this. Right? And I like the energy, I like the flow of it. And again, I don't like when it mirrors. So let's make a new layer. Something that mirrors to me is, say you have a character, say Wolverine, and two sides of his body are doing the exact same thing. Right. Now this is just I don't know why. I don't like mirroring with characters that I'm doing, right? You see if you slice it down the middle, the left and the right are pretty much the same, and I don't like that. I do not like that at all. Now they can work, right? There is no true one way in art. You can pretty much get away with anything if you're put enough sauce on it, I'd say. But for myself, I usually have my own rules, and I think every artist makes their own rules for what they can and can't do, what they will and won't do, what they think they can get away with, what is their specialty, and all that. But for me, I do not like mirroring. And so to keep this image from mirroring, right, so he has this arm bent, and this arm was, my initial idea was bent. I was like, nope, don't like that. So this arm is slightly expanded. So again, in the mirroring, or not mirroring, when one limb is doing something, I like the other limb to be doing the opposite. So a curled arm, straight arm, a straight leg, bent leg. Right? It just, to me, makes a more dynamic image. And these are sometimes stupid rules for arbitrary reasons, but that's just, it's just me. I think this is more interesting than this. But everyone's different. C'est la vie, right? So let's erase that. Hard eraser. And we'll erase all that. You get the idea. So now, we have this image. And I like the looseness. I always have my gestures loose. A lot of inaccuracies, it really doesn't matter. It's just a gesture. It's just something to get you started. A jumping off point, if you will. So we have this. And now let's fade this back. So it's 100 opacity. And so I take it down to about 20. Usually 15 to 25 in opacity. And hit the P twice. I'm using Clip Studio Paint right now. So, make it, I'll go back to that new layer. And this one, we're just gonna make shapes. So, classically, the rib cage is a circle or an egg shape, something like that. So we do the rib cage. Again, I'm not going for accuracy. The hips would be a box. There's a slight side plane here. His deltoids are circles, or all joints can be circles. So circle, cylinder, another joint for the elbow. And I want this to come out at the viewer. But this is another cylinder. The fist is a modified box. Again, you got the circle for the deltoid, cylinder. Now we want this to recede in space, so it's going away from us. And if I wanted to bend it, it would be like this, but I don't want that. So another circle. Another cylinder, circle, modified box. And the legs, circle, circle, cylinder, cylinder. And this is how I'm not thinking about making beautiful, pretty drawings. We're just getting the structure down. Just get the structure down, get your ideas out, and you can refine them later. Now his head, I think, is a little bit too within the body. So we're gonna probably take it out just a bit. I don't want it straight on, but I do want a slight 3/4. So, let's say this side plane, and his trapezius would be high, chest muscle, his sternum, and that would go down the body. Right, so something like this. This is just the simple shapes of what I'm thinking about right now. And that is, right. And then we can take this down to, again, change the opacity to, say, let's go 15. Yeah, let's go a little bit less than that. And let's take the one below. To also, let's say 10. We'll make a new layer. And this time we're going to do slight musculature, slight anatomy. So P, hit that twice. Oh, no. Name the layers in case, let's call it Wolvie. And we're going to do the muscles, or just a quick rendition of muscles. Again, we're not, all right, the rib cage. We want this side plane. Again, the hips. I want them to be slightly wider than the average person. The hips are a box. And let's get the pencil tool. Okay. So I want the clavicle. That's the bone that goes across your neck or shoulders. The head. And that side plane. The mandible. His ears would be about here. Ear on the other side. And the hairline, the eyebrow ridge, eye line, nose line, mouth line. Right. His neck, I think, would be thicker than most. His trapezius, deltoid. And he's slightly wider, right? Slightly wider than most. So I usually use the deltoids, the shoulder muscles, as an indicator of where the latissimus dorsi, which is on the back. So if I was to continue the shape, it would continue like this. Right. So the external obliques, coming into the hip, his dorsi, his leg is going up. I can make a block for the kneecap, or knee region, if you will. It comes up. Okay. The arm, we got the bicep. I think you have developed biceps, the tricep on the back. Coming into the elbow, you got extensors and flexors for his lower arm, his forearm, his wrist, going into his hand. Some slight indication of knuckles. His thumb would go across, but we can't quite see it because of the angle. His claws come out from his wrist, and his claws are hidden or retracted within his forearm, right? So they would be the length of his forearm. And I figure when they come out at a slight angle, right? So they come out from the wrist and go shink or snicked, snicked. The other arm is straighter, but we got the bicep on the front, tricep on the back, going into the elbow. We got extensors and flexors of his forearm. And I can deviate from the original all I want, because I can adjust it later. And again, the claws come out, snick, snick, snick. And so we got this leg. Again, that kneecap or kneecap region. And his lower leg is going slightly back. Slightly back. And all right, that's a nice quick approximation of what I'm going for. Now I can adjust it and play with it and tinker with it because it's slightly not. And that's the joys of art. All right, there can be all these little permutations of what you are going for. It's like, nope, I want it slightly moved. Like I want this leg slightly moved or shifted. Yeah, E for the eraser. Take that down a little bit. And this leg, P for the pen tool, twice for the pencil. I'm using Clips Studio Paint, or you could use Photoshop, whatever you feel comfortable with. Whatever program you like. All right, and this is pretty much how I work. Of course, there's a lot of, my art is iterative, so it can go through a lot of rebalancing, refocusing. It's like, no, I want this way or this way, and all of that. I do that a lot. Let's see, so what else? The chest muscles, the pectoralis, right? So this is the sternum. And the rib cage, we already made that circle. Right? So sternum, pectoral muscles go across that. and they come in and tuck into the upper arm, the serratus anterior on the sides, the rectus abdominis, and you can break this down as I have, where the side plane, and you keep, right, the side plane, within that is the, like the sternum, the rectus abdominis, and all of that. The lower part of the rectus abdominis goes down to the pubic area. And then once you have some sort of a solid basis, then you can get reference materials like costuming. How does Wolverine actually look? How do, say, if you have a reference of like an actor or somebody that you know who looks like or would make a great model for a character, then you can apply that after this phase. Right? But usually I start off loose, rough, and then it just gets more refined and more refined and more refined. And that's just how I work. Every artist has their own process. So whatever your process is, whatever works for you, as long as you know what your process is and it can be somewhat reliable, and I can't exactly remember exactly what his mask looks like, but it's almost like the Batman. Right, it goes something like this. He could have a mask, he could not have a mask. It would just change a little bit. And if you like it and want to, play with it a little bit, just take that layer, duplicate that layer. So layer, duplicate layer, turn the one that you want to keep below it, turn that off. And then on this one, I can mess with it. So say I want this arm, like the gesture, to be closer to that in the larger version. So with the M for the lasso tool, I can then isolate. Let's say I wanted to move the arm, all of it. Get that, Command T, and I can rotate it. I can shift it, enlarge it if I desire. Okay, return, and then Command D to deselect. Let's go back to the pencil tool, PP. Make that a little bit larger. I think of Wolverine as fairly thick, right, in the muscles department, and that he's a brawler. And say I want to now adjust his forearm, and for the marquee tool, I can cut that. Command T, enlarge it a bit. Because this arm is coming out. So this arm is back, this arm is forward. We can simulate that just a little bit better. And this is a perfect area to do it because it's not precious. I'm at a stage where I'm not in love with it. which is a great place to be in the early section. Okay, and let's say I want the fist, return, Command D. Let's say I wanted to shift that hand to look more like this hand. So I can actually, P for the pen tool. I can draw, oops, double P for the pencil. There we go. And say we wanted to change the angle. So we got the fist. It's that modified box. We got the thumb here. We got fingers. And this is really just fairly simple. We're not sweating the details yet. Everything has its own proper place, so that I can change things as I feel like it. And for the marquee tool, we're going to move this and Command T, move it into place. Now we're going to enlarge it bigly. Maybe not this big. But for shortening, when things come at you, they're bigger. So we want some sort of semblance of that. Okay. Maybe not that. Take it down just a little bit. Okay. Return, Command D to deselect. And now I have two fists doing two different things. And that's fine, because I still have the original. I can mark this up as much as I want. E for the eraser, we'll do the needed eraser. And just to knock back what we had before, because we want to try it that new way. Okay, so double P for the shortcut for the pencil tool. And so and then we can turn that one off, turn this one on. Turn that one off, turn this one on. And whichever one looks better to you, you can then work on that one, or you can work on both of them, because you never know where the day would take you, right? In a different scenario. But that is not bad. Not bad, not... Again, this is some of the not my number one problem, but a problem that can happen with any gesture drawing, right? There is an energy and a looseness to this that often gets lost as you work on it. To get that freshness can be difficult. And that's just, sometimes that's just how it goes. So if we were going to try to get it closer to what we have, that fist would be here, right? I believe. Eraser tool. Again, marquee. Command T. We can move it. We can rotate it. We can enlarge it. We can do all the things. Right? And there are ways to do it with real pencil and paper. So for example, if you wanted to do something like this, you can use a light table and draw on top of a rough sketch. Also, sometimes if you draw on the side, like return, Command D, so say double P for the pencil, say this section over here is another piece of paper. So you've drawn this on one sheet of paper, you can draw this arm on this separate sheet of paper. And say you really liked whatever this is that came out really well. You can then cut this out with scissors and then put that, and then use tape, that clear plastic tape, I think Scotch tape, and tape that on top of this. And when you make a copy of it and print that out, it would be just as you want it. So that, you know, in real life or in a program, you can get some of the same effects, regardless of tools. But I like doing digital in the sketching phase, because I can alter it, change it, make variations, even little tweaks. Sometimes I can get really bad with making tweak after tweak after tweak that look pretty much the same, but my brain won't let it. It's like, this one. And you just do A/B testing over and over again. It's like, okay, bro, you need to pick one. Yeah. But it all depends. It all depends. All right. So that is this gesture. And it's not bad. I think I will continue to work on it in the background and all that. But now I want to do a little bit of something I was working on just a little bit earlier. So we're going to put this away. And which was it? I think it was this one. So this was the gestures that I did. And I liked this one, this standing pose. Again, he's not mirroring. He's got one arm up, one arm down, and this leg up, like if it's on some kind of maybe a ledge, or I figure he's out in nature somewhere. But this leg is, his foot is, you know, on this thing, his leg is up, while this leg is straighter, right? This has the elements that I like. There's no mirroring, slightly dynamic, it's kind of sexy, right? This is a nice hero pose for Wolverine, I think. So I did the gesture, I isolated it, dragged it over, blew it up, and I have the opacity turned down. And then I did shapes, right? Very basic shapes. Circles for limbs, circle for the rib cage and cylinders and all of that. And then I did the drawing. And so I want to just do a little bit more with this one. I think this might be the one until I change my mind tomorrow. I can be very, especially when I'm doing it myself and there's no deadline. Well, there is a deadline because I like to get this done before the game actually comes out. The whole illustration and watercolor thing going. But when there is no handoff and there's not a clear deadline, I can futz around. As motorcycle passes. So let's see, what do I want to, using the pencil tool, double P. All right. Oh, no. Another P. What is going on? Okay. We're just gonna... All right, this one he has his mask off. And on the side I was doing just a basic... I like that his head is more of a square shape instead of a rectangle. I don't know why. I think his head would be a more square-ish shape. I don't know why I feel that way. But that's just how I feel. So I, was messing with how his head would look in that more square-ish shape. Hairline near the top, eyebrow ridge, eye line. I figure his nose would be shorter. Sometimes I mess with proportions on a cube-ish model on the side. So his nose, I think, would be slightly shorter, not like, a longer nose. And his mouth, which would incorporate that Wolverine scowl that most often comes to his face, where he's baring some teeth, or he's shouting or screaming, that berserker rage type thing. I would think of that. And as for eyes, if you've ever seen Hugh Jackman's eyes, right? I think there's like, from the corner of the eye, it goes up. And then it goes down. This is just an approximation of what I thought I saw from Hugh Jackman's eyes, which I thought, sure, that'll work. He would have that, upper eye fold, but a lot of it would be in darkness, and his eyebrows would be very close to his eyes. I also figure he would have very slight, and a lot of it would be in shadow, so that there would be a glint. His eyebrows. Okay, so we have this here. Let's make another layer. And this time we're going to sketch the face, I think, with the G pen. So again, if I'm doing... I'm darkening what I already have. Right, so I figure his eye would be like that. But anyways, so he's got forehead, comes in, goes around, the zygomatic arch. Again, square jawed. I'm trying to keep that squareness. Flatter, broad jaw. His eyes. And his pupils will be very slight. not too long. Got a bit of a and then let's say his eyebrows closer to his eyes. And let's say this eyebrow slightly raised. Cheekbone. Ear. A lot, well, not a lot of eyebrow furrows, but he scowls a lot. So that would, right. And a thicker neck. So his jawline, right? But his neck would be slightly thicker than his jawline. The trapezius, again for that wrestling build. The deltoid. The sternum. And his pecs. And if I was going to do costuming, I'd make another layer and then do the costuming on top of this. So again, I'm iterating on what I have below it, so that I always have a place to go back to in case I make some incredible mistakes, or I can try out variations. So variations in costuming. Okay. It's got his hair is right. His hair seems to make that mask that he wears slightly, so he has like these little wingtips of his hair. And it gets longer, but it gets shorter as it comes to his neck. And let's see. The bicep. Going to his extensors and flexors of his forearm. He has a wider body. So the latissimus dorsi. Again, I'm thinking of that wrestler's build. That he's thicker in the middle than having a nice tapered waist. And this goes into his one leg up. Got the serratus anterior that goes along his rib cage. The rectus abdominis. Mm-hmm. And they always make superheroes with very superhero proportions, right? So if you wanted to look at reference for bodybuilders or athletic people, that seems to always help because they are beyond human. All right, Captain America, super soldier. Wolverine, I guess you could consider a super soldier as well. And that he has a healing factor, which I would assume would help all his natural human functions. Like he wouldn't tire as much from, say, running or fighting and all of that. Okay. The foot is like 3 pieces. The heel, the base, which I also include the foot pad, and then the toes. But at this point, I'm just bouncing around. Whatever I see that I want to focus on, I focus on that. And I try to keep it loose as much as I can. Crap. I don't know what it is about this hour, man, but it always seems to go fast. And again, there's a lot of work that could be done on this, but so far, he's not bad. The rectus abdominis goes down into the groin area, the lower part. Since he has this leg up. Gastrocnemius going into his lower leg. And I noticed what comic artists have a lot of shortcuts, which is understandable if you got to have a page deadline that you got to meet. And I thought it was a page a day. With that kind of speed, and not all pages are created equal in that some will take a lot more time than others. The patella, the patellar tendon, let's see, I might have to adjust this angle. Okay. Whoa. All right. I think that's a little off. Eraser tool. E for the eraser. And P for the pencil or pen tool here. And the claws. And claws. And I figure they're between the knuckles. Right? So his index knuckle would be here, and between that and his middle would be the first claw. Between the middle and the ring finger would be the second claw, or the longest claw. And then between the ring and the pinky would be the shortest. But I do kind of like this on the separate head, right here. I kind of like that up. There's a slight bottom. So he's looking slightly up more. I kind of like that. Anywho, I could do this all day. But so far, so good. All right. So, let us recap. So I did all these little gesture drawings. I choose one, isolate it, blow it up, draw on top. And that's what I did for this one. But also, we did this one. And I still don't know which one am I going to pick. I don't know. I'll keep drawing some of them, messing around with proportions and all of that. But I think that is the last Wolverine stream. I guess every month I'll give you an update on how the illustration's going. I think the next one, maybe later July. We'll talk about which one I actually did select, and hopefully have that one drawn out better with everything filled out, detailing, costuming, all of that. And I'll walk you through how I got from, say, here to that final about to be watercolored illustration, whatever. But that is that. And I was so, let's see. So, let me say something. And so that was okay. So anyways, that was Wolverine. Thank you for joining me. I have been Trey Hodges. You can find me at treyhodges.com. Power to all the creators. And I will see you in... What will we do next week? Next week, I think we're going to do either Back to Sansan, or I might start... I want to do a comic, a short comic over the summer. So I might do that one. I don't know. I'm weighing it in my mind. So yeah, if we do the comic thing, I'll go over Clip Studio Paint for comics, how I start a comic project, page count, proportions, and we'll do a brief of that. If not, we'll get back into the swing of the weeklies with San San, which is a character we've been developing over the course of this thing. So again, thank you for joining me, and I will see you next week. Take care and keep shining. Bye.